Hello, welcome back. So we'll continue with the next um, Panda note, Python notebook. Yeah, the Python notebook is called 022 underscore pandas cbon dot ipy and b. Okay, so we are going to do this. How did I get all these files here? Is simple. Go to File, Open Folder, and go to the folder that you are keeping all the files that you have downloaded from elearning.usm.my. For example, this folder actually. So when you open like that, you get to see all your files in here. So today we are going to continue with this file 022 underscore pandas cbon dot ip and ipy and b. Okay, so these are the files in here actually. Today we are going to also look at actually two library. The first library will be pandas. The next library is cbon. Okay, so pandas is basically again uh, for data to look at data to quickly do something on data, right? The data is in the form of table actually. Okay, then cbon is for visualization purpose. It has got a lot of built-in statistical tools which we can use directly to visualize and etc. Okay, and also this file here. There's a data file called grades.csv. CSV represents comma separated file. It's just like a table, a more simplified version of an Excel file. Okay, so you can again click on it and you get to see. Okay, so it has got a name, uh, this is a course name, second course name, and third course name. There are actually 4 columns, and each values, as you can see, this is the first row. And the first row with an entry of Abigail, and then the marks. So all these values are separated by comma, right? So that is why it's called comma separated value, CSV. Okay, so later on we are going to bring this file in our Python notebook, and we're going to do some sort of processing. Okay, right. So you just can click on top of this icon file here, and then you get to see um, the whole Python notebook. Okay, so right now, okay, after when you click on this, for example, let me go back. Yeah, when you click on this, automatically this thing will open. So for example, let me close it back. I click on that file, and then of course the file will be open on your right hand side. All right, now let's do it. So pandas, right? So you can go to pandas.org, so you get to see all the documentation, and you get to see all the gallery, and then there are many notebooks which you can directly download into your machine and open it in here, and then just go through in order for you to learn all those functions, all those definitions, all those commands that are available for you to do data processing. Okay, now first of all, of course, import pandas to your import pandas library to your notebook, right? So how to, in case you don't have it, yeah, just do pip, put this mark, and then pip install, pip install pandas. Okay, then shift enter. So for example, in my machine, I have already pandas installed. If you don't have it, of course, then it will install for you. Okay, so once you have it, once you have this installed on your machine, this library, then of course you can import it to your notebook. Okay, so import pandas as PD, it's a short name. So once you import, right, so PD pandas library is available for you, right? When you put PD dot, you get to see all kind of functions and constructors and all that available for you to do the data processing. Okay, so earlier we saw NumPy. where we did we constructed matrices. Yeah, so numpy, so dot array, np dot array, you get to construct matrices. Here the main object would be data frame. Data frame is just like a simplified version of an Excel table. Okay, so you use data frame to create a table. Previously, you used numpy.array to create matrix. Okay, so that's how you're going to do now. Now let's see how we are going to do it. So first of all, we are going to create a simple table. That this table has two columns, blue and red, and of course its respective entries. So this is like very much we are trying to construct from scratch, right? So pd dot data frame, and then inside there the table. Shift enter, so you get to see the table immediately after you shift enter. So you have two rows. The first row, of course, starts with index 0, and the second row with index 1. So you have constructed a data frame. Okay. So PD blue. Okay. This command here, right? The next command cell here, you get to see that now rather than having index 0 and 1, you can name the index as well. For example, now the first index gets um, called by a name called square, and then the next index is called round. So basically what we did from the as compared to the previous command is that we named the index. The first row gets square, second row gets a name called round. All right. Now, the next thing is the next object or a container, yeah, that we can create with pandas is called series. A series is something like a row, but it has got some extra features with it, right? For example, now create a series with pandas pd.series, and then the value, shift enter. So this is a series with its element in the form of integer. Okay, right. Now you try to this is an exercise, try to create a data frame called country pop. Yeah, country pop. Yeah, this is the table. Try to create, and then okay, you take your time later and do it. Now let's move on. Usually we do not create data frame from scratch. Yeah, we have like some sort of like if we have some information, some file with with all these info in there, we will just load it in here, and then we will do all those processing. Right, for example, yeah, I have the CSV file which I showed earlier to you. Right, I'm going to load it in here. So, and I'm going to name it as grades. Okay, so grades equals to pd dot read CSV, and then this is the name of the file. And of course, this file got to be in the same folder where this notebook is. Otherwise, you got to write the whole directory of the file in here, in this code sign. So in order to keep things simple, it's always easy if you just keep it at the same folder where you're keeping your notebook. Okay, now I run it. Okay, so it's in here now. Right, so we can also load all kind of things. Actually, we can load .txt file, even we can load Excel file. Okay, so many ways to do it. So there are all these commands are here. You can play around with it. Now, so far we have grades in our notebook. Now we can always put grades.info to get all this information in that file. Okay, so if I shift enter, the first thing is that it says panda core frame data frame. It says the type this grade has actually, right? If I, for example, if let's say I want to check the type, so it says data frame. Okay, pandas data frame. That is the container type. Okay, so if you put grades.info, of course you get to access all those information in the file, like a summary of the file. So it has got 26 entries, 0 to 25, and then the columns are, it has got 4 columns. Okay, so first column 0 is name, column 1 is MAT181, column 2 is MAT100, and then column 3. There are columns, and then of course in each column the entries has a type, right? So first of example, for the first, the name is in the form of object, and next is in the form of integer until the end integers. Okay, then the memory used, right? Okay, anyway, so we have three types in the form of integer. One is in the form of object. In fact, this is in the form of string names. Okay, so you get to see the shape also, same thing. So we know from the info itself, we have 26 entries with the 4 columns. So it would, of course, if you when you try grades.shape, you would get to see 26 times 4. Okay, just like your matrix, row times column. All right, so you just want to extract the names of the columns. We put grades.column. You're going to see all the names of the columns. Now you can, in fact, access it by columns as well. For example, the index, grades.index, even though it is not column by itself, but now once you create data frame, it has an index, right? So index, for example, by default, it starts from 0 until 26 for this CSV file. Okay, now grades.count, what it does. So for example, okay, it says number of entry for each column. For example, we have 26 names, and then for each name, of course, we have marks, respective marks for the subject or course, right? Sometimes there'll be like missing values. There'll be empty. Let's say, for example, for a name, there's an empty, no marks for MAT181, then it will say not available, right? It will say not available. So that is actually a missing value, all right? Okay, but fortunately, we have all filled in here. And grades.head is basically to print out the first 5 column of your data, right? Of course, your file. By default, it's first 5. You can just like hit. If you put the argument 3, you get to see first 3. Of course, if you put argument 10, you get to see the first 10, and so on and so forth, right? And then grades dot tail. So of course, if you put tail, you get to see the last 5, right? You can see the last. So you can just, of course, customize last 10, and then so on and so forth. If you just put grades and then shift enter, you get to see more all of it. Luckily, it's not that long, so you get to see the whole file in your notebook, right? Now, just if in any case you just want to see that one particular column, since you know grades.column will give you the list of columns that is available for this file, you can always put grades.mat181, the name of that column, in order to extract and look at that value. For example, grades.mat181, you get to see all the values in that particular column. Of course, you can do the same. Let's say you want to do 2. They want to print out 2 columns. This is how you do it. Just like accessing to a particular index. Rather here, we're accessing to up 2 columns. So there you go. Of course, when it prints out the column, it also prints out the index. Okay. All right. Now, I know about slicing. Slicing simply means that I want to look at one particular row, for example. Okay, the first row. Or the first row, I just want to look at the name. Okay, grades name, 0. 0 representing the first. No, maybe I want to, okay, the first row's name is actually Abigail. I want to look at Abigail's MAT181 value. This is what Abigail got. She got 80 marks for MAT181. All right, so there are also other ways to access access entry for this file. You can either use a lock location or iLock index location. Okay, let's look at index location, iLock here. So iLock 0. So it does, basically it lists out all this information in the first row. The name is Abigail, And then Abigail's marks for M8181 is 880, and until the end, M8161 is 70. All right, so that is what ilog does. Of course, you can do the same, whatever that you did for array, you can also slice the same way, right? For example, here, first is a row. I want to see all the values, all the rows for column 0. You can do that. Okay, so column 0, we have names actually. So all the rows in column 0, so we get to see all the names. I want to see all the M8181 marks. Actually, this column, that's column 1. So you just put there 1 and shift enter, you get to see all the marks. And of course, it says on what column actually you extracted, name of the column. Okay. All right, so you can even slice further. So I want to see row 0 is the first row. So this is row number 2. I did it 4. And then I just want to see the entry from 2 onwards. Or the first, first 3. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. So that is the 3. And then when it says column until the 2, you get to see the first 2 column, right? So 0 and 1. 2 is not in, 2 is 2 will not be listed. So 0 and 1. So let me repeat again. 0 to 4, the number of rows that you want to see. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it will not, the fourth row will not appear. Okay, and similarly, 0 to 2. Yeah, 0 to 2. I want to see 0 to 2 column, which means column 0 and column 1 would appear. Column 0 is name, column 1 is the marks for M8181. So that's how we can slice the table and have a look. Yeah, a quick look, quick check. Right. So a different way of doing it is using a location 0 name. Yeah, pretty much straightforward. I want to see location 0, which is the first row, and the name. Yeah. So Abigail. Location 1 to 4. I want to look at name. I want to look at the 2 cost marks. Okay, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then names and marks. Okay. So of course 1 to 4. Okay, 1 to 4. So the Caucasian 0 is in fact Abigail. So you don't get to see Abigail's marks. All right. Now we want to change the index. The index by default was 0 to 26, 0 to 25. Now we want to change. I want to change the index to a certain to a one particular column. For example, here I had a column called the name. So I want to set the index as the name, and I want to rename the new table or data frame here called grades new. Shift enter. So now you get to see, rather than having the index in the form of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 125, now we get to see the name itself. Okay. Okay, so grades new, the marks. Now when you extract the marks for a particular course, it's pretty much readable, which means like, okay, Abigail got 80, Benny got 60, and so on and so forth, right? Now, we can also like write conditions in the argument such a way that we get to filter out. Yeah, we get to filter out whatever value that we want to see. For example, I want to see grades new, right? Location, of course, it's in the location, grades new.mat. So this is the name of the column. With the marks, those with marks more than or equals to 80, and means both must be true. Grades MAT 161 more than 60 marks. So, okay, then you shift enter, you get to see all those filtered value. Abigail, Jeff, Mandy, and Oliver, they get MAT 181 more than 80, MAT 161 more than 60. Okay, all right. So that is why that's how we can do some sort of like filtration. Okay, we can also do sorting and renaming. For example, sorting value. So when I do sort values by this marks, so it's going to sort ascending order. from small to big. You can see I did based on MAT 181. So MAT 181 is the lowest. Gabriel got the lowest mark, right? And then as you go lower, Emily, 98 marks. So I've got the rest is sorted based on MAT 181 marks. So you can also change the order. For example, if you write ascending order, it's going to do the other way around. The highest you get to see the highest, Emily will be on top. Now, of course, then Gabriel will be below. You can also rename. So rename the column. For example, MAD 161. I want to change the name to maybe at first I did some sort of like typo, and I'm going to change it to give a new name, MAD 101. So now MAD 100 now changed to MAD 101. Okay. Can always drop as well. Sometimes when there are missing values, usually we just drop it, or we do some sort of like they call it we speed it up with some sort of like average or something. For example, now here I'm going to drop one column. Say maybe I made the 100. I'm not interested to analyze, so I just want to drop it. So if you drop it, you obviously just like removing it or deleting a one column called MAT 100. All right. Now you can also drop one particular. For example, here I want to drop this column 25. Okay, so 25, I think Zach, right? So 25 here, Zach. So index 0, row number 25, drop it. So basically just removing it, deleting it, the row. Okay, you can also do that. So since previously you did, you created country population, use that and then try to answer these questions. That will be exercise number 2. Now, grades.describe. This is the easiest way to look at basic statistics of your data, right? So if you try just dot describe, it says number of count 26. You have 26 observation of 26 rows, 26 students. Mean is the average value, standard deviation, the minimum value, right? The maximum value, and these are quartile. Now the first quartile, and of course this is median, and then third, one fourth, yeah, 3/4, yeah, this is 1/4, this is 3/4. Okay, so you get to see quartiles. Okay, now visualizing the data.